and composer for mostly any genres, and today we take a look behind the scenes for German coasters. I wrote like 10 songs for German coasters for their then write reviews on YouTube. You can check them out at the German Coaster YouTube channel. Feel free. And today we talk about the cinematic trailer music that I wrote for them. Let's just switch the cameras. So there we have it. Okay, so these are all the projects that I made for German coasters. They're all very cinematic, and if you see that, you may like that's a lot of tracks, but it's a lot of tracks since these are only folders. Go to percussions, for example. There are a lot of percussion tracks in there, so it's not it's actually quite a lot. So these are all the tracks that I use. We have a track count here, 45 different tracks, or even more. There are about 50 different unique tracks that are being used in the trailer music. So that's quite a lot, and let's just jump in with the first one. It is called The Temple of the Nighthawk, or the Dayhawk as I called it. And let's see what we got here. You hear this track just collapsing on. It's recorded at 90 BPM beats. So that's the main volume. That's the main melody. It's the most important part of any songwriting. Percussions. Break. The melody is picked up again. Boots. Brass. And then even more energy with an octave up in the brass section. Okay. So you can see I'm writing with a very unique, very distinguishable motif. And this is carrying through the whole song and defines the tone of that track. As you could see, there's a lot of strings, a lot of woodwinds, and a lot of brass sounds. That's like the backbone of the melody part, plus the classic percussion stuff. It's like always timpanis, piattis, cymbals, and of course the for the cinematic trailer music, of course, you always want to have like the big timpanis. That's what you want to have. Plus, like some effects, like one that's like a sub bass that you put underneath there. Yes, you need really good headphones. Ooh. Oh, it's the wrong. This is the bass track. Listen to the bass track. So I don't know if you were able to hear this, but this is a pretty big drop. That's some stuff that you need to have in epic trailer music, is always a drop and a riser, some percussions. Okay, that was like the main melody for the first track, which was Temple of the Nighthawk. Next track here is called Taron, and this one is like one of my favorite that I wrote so far. It reminds me a bit of like the Elder Scrolls Skyrim soundtrack from the instruments, and one has become favorites. It has a lot of pad sounds in here also. For this, I entered the track with the pad shop with like a pad that I made before from samples. Granular synthesizer that repeats, you push it, that repeats certain phrases, and then is it back. It's like a giant string pad kind of sound. Because it has all the nothing is okay. So are if you like chords, very soft, but if you stack it up again, like here we have another pad sound that comes in additionally to get even better. So it's like wobbling a bit. So it's very soft and gentle in the background. I added some over here. Also very soft. Break. And that's almost half of the rent that you have. And then again, I came in this time with a main melody played by a bassoon from the Halion Symphonic Orchestra. It's like a very nice, very warm bassoon. See what that sounds together. See why I'm such a fan of the track. Additional strings. Bass strings and the main melody. You can see it's a melody and it's a counter melody with brass. Cello. Piano sound over here. and the brass section. And again, the same pattern. Up to a part 2. And back to the original melody. The melody. And that's it. So that is quite intense, and it's like a repetitive pattern, but always played with a melody and a counter melody. For example, at the first time you play with the bassoon and then the counter melody flute, or with the trumpets or tubas. So you always have like it's like a counter melody, so the listener won't get bored after a while. So you always have something going on and never the same one to. So that was the Taron soundtrack. Here, it's one of my favorites. The next piece I wrote was a bit. I thought it was a bit like mystery influence, but actually it turned out quite orchestral. I can. Down again. So the next one is called Area 15 or Area 51 in the original. It's not a lot of alien sounds, but it's different from the rest a little bit. It starts with strings and the pad sounds that we saw before. Open it up. It's same pad shop sound, like built in from Steinberg. It's 10 euros or something, and it's very, very powerful. Wide arrangement, pad sounds. Guessed it. So let's see. As you can see here in the brass section, that is where the melody is being introduced, the theme for the Area 15. Let's take a quick that one. Reminded me of America with the drum sets. The counter melody here, the strings. Sub bass underneath it to give it more depth. That's the B part. charming stuff, the glockenspiel and the piano. Very cute, very cute. And then not so cute. Soft and calm outro for your YouTube videos that you can put in voice or some logo animation. So you always have to keep in mind, you do a trailer and most of the trailers have songs at the basis, but also voiceovers on top of it. Always keep that in mind. You need to leave place for the voice. Bling! Then it's gone. Okay, so it's not that alien-like, but more like a march from the military. Of course, it's a secret base from the military, so it fits the purpose. Alright, so the next one is called Curse of the Ganon, or Fluch des Ganon, which is German. And this one, I used a synth that I love, a synth plugin that I really love and almost use in like every track that I use for hip-hop songs or modern pop songs. It's called the ArcSyn. It's from SPC Plugins, which is, I think it's a Czech plugin company. And you can get the full version for like 80 euros or something. But it's really worth it. The unique thing about this synthesizer is that you have so many different LFO shapes to choose from. Like what's not used. You have 8 different sequences for LFOs, also low frequency. And you can choose from like the normal sine, triangle, square ones, which you can also adjust, a classic ramp, but you also have like random stuff in there which changes over time. If I play it back, over time it will change the parameters, like a random line here. Doesn't play anything since time. No. But you can get the idea. These are all LFO stuffs. These are all LFO forms, and you can stack them up to 16 steps. So let's say we go really slow and we have a slope like this one. You can adjust, and then goes into another one, which can sound like this. And then you can go to like random variation stuff, which also changes over time. So you have a very wide amount of combination in here if you wanna like modulate the cutoff or the frequencies, the delays. It's very powerful. And as I said, I almost use it in every production. And this one starts with a pad I created, and I called it, let's see what I called it, C. Alright. Pad C, and it sounds like this. Very gentle in the lows. Bring in the bassoon, and I really love the bassoon sound from the Halion Symphony Orchestra. Coming in with the pad chop again. Sub bass. As of now, the melody is not that distinguishable. It's like very in the background and drops in now. That's our main melody, played by the marimba this time. More power. that's one of the trickiest part that I had to write for this song. It's like the running of the violins, the short violins. So you can see that's a lot of notes in a very short time. If you can listen to that again, or only to the violin sounds. Let's only solo the violins. You can now hear the violins, and it was quite an achievement for me to write this part. Good. So that's only the violins and only the string sounds, mostly violins of course, but also like low bass and cello. But this one was really tricky to write and to stay like in key. But listen to it. I think it was worth the time investing in. Back in the Full Metal Jacket. Alright. So these are only the percussions, and I added some like hammer sounds in there. Very nice. Beautiful. And for your logo animation, of course, we like outro. Bling. So this one was called Curse of the Ganon, or Fluch des Ganon, which was like quite an achievement for me, for a non-violin player. Although I have a violin in the background here, I'm not very good at it. But it's okay. It's okay. I can do other things. Actually, my absolute favorite in this part of the composition process was the next song, which is the Viking Storm. Actually, it was not really on the agenda, but I thought like the theme songs are covering a lot of stuff, but it's actually missing Viking vibes and some Oriental vibes. I decided to write some songs, 2 songs that covers this ethical field. I think it got good. It has a very simple pattern in drum sounds. It's almost only like only like 4/4, and every time you hit the 4th note. Very straightforward, very simple and rememberable. Almost like in the video game like God of War, that was written by damn. Okay, the God of War soundtrack, and written by like a very famous, awesome guy that I can't remember the name now, which is stupid. But it says almost no 3 notes, like it's very cool. Are limited to so notes and them check that out. And some bassoon. Actually, the piano keys are like the main melody here, and also the chords. There drops the sub bass. Second pair of timpanis here. Very low basses. To breathe and to build even more tension stuff, like in the video for a YouTube video or for storyline. Then he went out, gathered some firewood. When he came back, saw his whole village burned down, and he felt anger. Very majestic. And there we have the bass drop again. Alright, so that was one of the songs that I actually loved the most writing, because it was like I wrote this whole piece in 4 or 5 hours, and then it was fixed. It was mixed, fixed, and it was a whole. And it's always a good sign if you have a very good song in your own opinion, not in the opinion of others, but in your own opinion, you think, wow, this is a real cool song, and it didn't take much time. It's a good sign that other ones might find it good as well. Okay, so the next song was called Island Pipes, and you guessed it already, it's like Scottish theme. And this was one of the songs that annoyed me most, only because I hate bagpipes. I have a friend playing bagpipe, and also at different festivities in Germany you have some guys playing bagpipes. It's not our ethical culture, but some guys feel very tempted to play the bagpipes. So this was one of my biggest difficulties, understanding that sound down in the fancy instrument. For the bagpipes here, I froze that track, but I used the east-west also for just open. That's here the small icon. So all that is the east-west player, and these are the Hollywood strings, but they have also Goliath library where there's a lot of ethical instruments in there. For example, the bagpipe. So if you hate bagpipes, just skip to another song. We start with bagpipes, and it's almost only bagpipes beginning. Get out. The flutes. So that's our melody line, and it will be repeated after a second part. Very nice flute sound also. Very nice flute sound. Bagpipes? Not so nice, but it are bagpipes. And then an outro. So you see, obviously or unconsciously, this song is, I think, the shortest song that I wrote. I guess mostly because unconscious I wanted to end the bagpipe to play. Okay, but anyways, I think it's a pretty solid score for like the Highland pipes theme, and for like Scottish themes or druids and stuff, and that ethical corner. I think I kind of nailed it, although I didn't really like that much writing it. But of course, sometimes you have to write, especially if you working for with another guy or another company. You have to be creative, as creative as you can. It must not always necessarily be the kind of music that you like listening to. I'm actually listening to a lot of cinematic movies, cinematic movie trailers and soundtracks, so that's okay. But I very, very rarely, absolutely never listen to bagpipe. I think the next song here, The Horror House, is the song that I had the most fun writing with. And it's the first, and I think even the only thriller sound that includes like sample drum. So these ones were actually taken from the Community Drive sample library, which were released during the early stage of the pandemic, and by Native Instruments, and with some of the well-known artists worldwide. Like these ones, the JXL toms right here, they're very majestic, and actually they're building the whole song. So this one is from Tom Holkenborg, or better known as Junkie Xl, JXL. He wrote like many movies, Mad Max movies, and Deadpool soundtrack, and he contributed to the community all the samples were for free and royalty free, and very majestic. Let me just play you this sample alone. Majestic, isn't it? You can't hear anything. That's okay. Let's check out. So these are only the drum samples in that track, and it perfectly fits like a horror house movie scene or trailer scene. And if you listen to it incomplete, I did my best and added some very aggressive sounds. I rendered a lot of pads, a sound design from the pad shop. These are the sound design tracks. So you can already hear that it's very scary. Let's play you. Let me play beginning to the end. The whole song has these like drum sounds in there with slightly variation. And the heart of this song is in the strings and sound design section. This out. Very subtle drum. And that's our main melodies right here. And then you have the riser and the drops. Let me just solo the riser and the drops here. Okay, so back to that section without the solos. You can feel the impact coming up. And then the whispering in the end. That's pretty cool. Okay, so that was quite powerful and aggressive and like very spooky. With actually, I'd like to show you how I made that sound. It was in that whisper sound here. Actually, what I did was going to the Pad Shop sound here, to the Pad Shop Pro, and I recorded with my voice like some scary sentences. Sometimes I feel I'd rather be gone. Something like this, and then I put it in there, And you always have, like, if you see when I'm playing that's a note on my keyboard here, it has like that different columns here. And these are all different sound takes, so they are spreaded and they're playing for a bit and then go into the next one. So if you have like that whispering voice in there, what it does is it takes one snippet of that sentence and plays it, adds some and jumps to another sentence or to another word in that sentence, and that makes it like really scary to listen to. So that's how I made that sound, and it contributes to the very dark ambience. The next song is called Legions, and it's in 6/8, and it's quite a tempo drop if you see it in here in the tempo track. Have the horror house here. Horror house takes place at 150 beats per minute, while the Legions track drops almost half to 85. This one is a bit slower, but it doesn't mean that it's less intense. Let's check that out. And also 6/8. It's like Greek or Rome soldiers lining up for war. Or is it a pirate? Again, the string. These are only the strings right now. Very emotional strings here. No percussions here, but they were coming back down in this section. Oh, and this one also has like a signature change in there. The time signature changes. Very cool, heavy effect with the spiccato bass. And then back to the motif. And it ends with a bass drop, of course, here. and the bass drum. And then it's done. We're almost through with our tracks. We only have 2 left. The next one is called Return to Bobaton. And for those who don't know Harry Potter here, this one was like magical world, and I thought, hey, best magical world is the Harry Potter world. Leave some comments in the section down below if you think it's something else, but I think Harry Potter is majestic and magic and beautiful and powerful and so well thought through. So that was inspiration enough to get me started for this song. Again, I took another instance of the arcsyn here, and it sounds like this. Very gentle, very soft. The main melodies for this song were in the key section. So I started with a piano and with a marimba. It is very, very like magical and beautiful melody. Let me play you this. This is probably one of the most beautiful songs I wrote in that whole section. It's has no edges, but it has a lot of energy, and it's a beautiful energy, if that makes sense after all. Very uplifting. Melody and the counter melody over here. That's all of the percussion sounds, breath sounds. Very gentle. Very, very sweet. Very soft and gentle and uplifting. I think it's probably the only track that I've written in major. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but this one actually feels like it's written in major. So even though some songs may be written in major, they don't feel like be written. They are just like very energetic, rough and aggressive. This one is pure beauty, and I really love that gentleman sound. This is the piano plugin that I use like most productions. Very soft. also in the they really very, very soft. It's a quite the gentleman. Love that. Okay, so the last song in our production row here for the German Coasters. I'd like to thank German Coasters for giving me the opportunity to write for him. The last song is called The Rave, and as I said before, this one was not really planned, but I thought like some of the missing theme is missing, so I wrote a little part. Actually, there are two very fancy objects down here in the fancy instruments folder again, which are the Oriental Strings and the Orient Duduk. Those of you who don't know what the hell a duduk is, what the duduk is, I'm gonna play it to you. And it's from the East-West raw orchestral library, and it sounds like. So it's very, very close microphone positions, very well recorded, and almost like a mixture of a. But it's very common to read. And the Oriental Strings, how do they sound different from the normal strings, you ask? I give you the answer. They sound. So they basically they always play like 2 octaves at the same. Very press harder on the keys. You have like some. So they sound very different from the normal strings that actually they sound. Of course, they are. There's a lot of reverb there, but they sound different. Timbre. So that one is Brave Mummy, and part 2 finish. Also has the Junkie XL toms in there, but used differently. This time I use Shaperbox plugin here. What this Shaperbox plugin does is it switches the time segment. Pretty interesting stuff you get out there. Here we go with the strings and the Orient string. Actually, I lied to you. I'm sorry, I lied to you. These are not the Junkie XL toms. It's just the same track. But actually, these samples were grabbed from the Ghost Hack sample library. Very affordable and very good sounding. German. Check out the ghost tag stuff. Always worth investing in libraries. Why not in the ghost tag? Yeah. Let's start with the normal strings and the Oriental strings here. There's some big ass pads and staccato. I used a choir from East-West libraries. So that was it. Thank you for watching, and please check out German coasters. They are like really nice. You want to have the latest news on roller coasters all over the world, maybe not over the world. Feel free to check them out. Also make sure to check me out. My name is ZAPSONthePRODUCER. You can find me on Instagram, on TikTok, on Fiverr, on my Beatstars page. I'll leave the links in the comment section at the YouTube video. Yeah. I hope you have a great time. If you want to acquire something like this, or you want to hire me for a project just doing this, you are very, very welcome to do so. Just write me an email or contact me on Instagram or on YouTube. You know the drill. You are one of the millennials born and raised with and by the internet. Just feel free to contact me on the platform. I'll wrap again. Watching. My name is ZAPSONthePRODUCER, and I hope to see you anytime soon.
German Coaster, wir berichten über Freizeitparks. Sei dabei und du wirst sehen, fahren gerne Achterbahn. Zeigen euch den ganzen Tag, was ist zurzeit so angesagt. Counten jeden Coaster, das ist einfach unsere Leidenschaft. German Coaster, wir berichten über Freizeitparks. Sei dabei und du